Thanks for staying with us here on World Now. Former President Donald Trump's tax returns have been handed over to a committee of the House of Representatives after the former president lost a long legal battle to keep them sealed. Following the announcement from the Treasury Department, a congressional committee now has access to his returns for the years 2015 to 2020. Mr. Trump took legal steps to block any such release, though ultimately failed when the Supreme Court last week cleared the way for his papers to be accessed by the panel. The former president recently announced a bid to run for the White House again in 2024 and has described the efforts to obtain his tax documents as politically motivated. Let's take you to the Asian continent, where China is softening its stance on the severity of COVID-19 and easing some restrictions following protests over the government's zero-COVID policy. The unrest was said to be triggered by the death of 10 persons by fire in a high-rise block in the western Xinjiang region. There is more in this report.
China has signaled a shift in its COVID stance as it moves to ease some restrictions despite the country still recording high daily case numbers. Several cities have eased lockdowns and allowed businesses to reopen, although the government has not directly referenced the protests that gathered momentum after a fire that killed 10 persons. In the southern city of Guangzhou, officials in at least 7 districts announced a temporary lift in lockdowns. This comes after demonstrators clashed with police over the continued curbs on residents' everyday lives. A community in the capital also allowed COVID cases with mild symptoms to isolate at home, a far cry from protocols earlier this year, which saw entire buildings and communities locked down, sometimes as a result of just one positive case. The ease in lockdown comes as one of China's most senior pandemic officials, Vice Premier Sun Cholan, said the virus's ability to cause disease was weakening. China has in recent days recorded its highest number of daily COVID cases since the pandemic began, with more than 36,000 cases recorded on Wednesday. However, the numbers seem tiny for a country of 1.4 billion people, and officially just over 5,200 have died since the pandemic began.